More examples when the triangle is not given and you have to draw it. So again, I just pulled these up. It does not matter what your triangle looks like. Doesn't matter how you draw it, what your artistic skills look like. It just matters that it's accurately labeled. So I'm going to start lower left, C-O-W, and you want to work in order. If you went the other way, that's fine. But make sure when you label your next one, you go in the same order. So I always start on the left, lower, and then go up and around, just so I have consistency every time I see a triangle. So I have cow and pig. This time it tells me that CO is 25, so the length of this side is 25. CW is 18, and IG is 23. PG is 7x minus 17. There's a lot of information this time, but maybe it's helpful to you too. CO is congruent to PI. OW is congruent to IG. And then our bottom sides are congruent to each other. So realistically, it says find X and PG. So we need two answers. So X equals PG is going to equal. Again, I do this just to make sure I don't get sidetracked or jump on my first answer, especially if it's a multiple choice question, because we know we do that. We answer something, we're excited, and we go grab it, and we don't necessarily go back and read our question. We have a lot of extra fluff. So in my opinion, this 25 and this 23 are irrelevant, because all I need to focus on are these bottom sides. So 7x minus 17 is equal to 18 because we already know that these two triangles are congruent. We're going to solve this basic equation. We're going to add 17 to both sides, which should give me 35. Then because that is 7 times x, we're going to divide by 7. And x is going to equal 5. Again, if it was a multiple choice question, this answer will be there, whether they're asking for x or not. So they will absolutely give it to you. So x equals 5. We know that's in one of our blanks, but we're not done because we have the and. So we need to plug it in to find out what PG is. Now, we are in hopes that it is equal to 18, but we want to check it. 7 times 5 minus 17 is going to be 35 minus 17, which does indeed give us 18. If you did your algebra right, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to feel like you're doing it for no reason. But when you don't do your algebra right, it will not work appropriately. So if you mess up or you make little careless errors and positives and negatives and moving things or by dividing, or you just lose it and something else happened and you got completely distracted, this is where you will catch that mistake. So PG is 18, which we know because we checked and because we know that that side is congruent to CP. All right, we got another example. So again, we're going to label D, E, F, P, Q, R. Now this one's a lot messier, so make sure you're getting this down and paying very close attention. Rewind, pause, whatever you need to do to make sure you get it. DE is 3x minus 10, but also don't let it scare you because we just did it with basic numbers. This is just 8th grade, 9th grade equations as well. So QR, 4x minus 23. PQ is 2x plus 7. And then EF is equal to Y. EF is equal to Y. Now, we have two variables. We know that DE is congruent to PQ, and we know that, sorry, the yellow doesn't look like it's showing up very well, EF is congruent to QR. When choosing what to do, setting this equation up as Y equals 4x minus 23 is not going to get you a final answer because you have two variables. So we need to get rid of one of those variables. So we're going to solve for x first, which is the 3x minus 10 equals 2x plus 7. And again, we need to know what is x and what is y to answer our final question. And I make that just to make sure I know to go back and do it. We're going to put this one on hold. We're going to solve. So we need to get x's on one side and y and our whole numbers on the other. So minus 2x, because I like to work towards the bigger number to make sure that I keep positives in front of my variable, because it just helps me not to make minor silly errors. But either way, it will work. And we're going to add 10, because it's the opposite of subtraction. So x equals 17. So when x equals 17. Now that I know that x equals 17, I can plug that in and solve for y. And you may want to check this, so 3 times 17 minus 10, and make sure that it is equal to 2 times 17 plus 7, because if this is where you made your first mistake, y will not come out correctly. So you want to make sure you're doing it right and you're checking your equations. You could also, just to throw back to when you had a calculator, put this one in y1 and this in y2 and see where they intersect. So see where at what x value the y value is the same. So what input gives the same output, just as a throwback to Math 1 or possibly 8th grade, depending on who your teacher was. So we have 4 times 17 minus 23, and we get 45. And again, you may want to check that. So y equals 45. So with y equals 45, then 4 times 17 minus 23 should also equal 45. And it does. So we did this one right. So y equals 45. And then we have both of our answers. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more. But if you think you have it under control, you can go ahead and stop for the day. But if you want to watch, I'm here to teach it. So D, E, F. You would need to draw your own triangles, J, K, L. Your artistic skills are irrelevant to your grade, as long as you can keep everything straight. So this one is going to get into quadratics, because we already know, because we see that x squared. So which means we're probably going to have to factor. So this is a good one if you stuck in with me to watch. So DE is x squared minus 3x. And then KJ here is 28. Measure of angle E is y squared plus 6y, and we now have two variables. And the measure of angle K is 7 degrees. In this case, they don't overlap. It's just two different equations, because we know that E is congruent to K, because they've already stated that these triangles are congruent. So y squared plus 6y is equal to 7. It's one variable, so we can rock and roll there. You might not want to, but we can, even though it's quadratic. So x squared minus 3x equals 28, because those are the corresponding sides for these congruent triangles, as they listed it in the congruent statement of triangles. So make sure you're labeling them correctly. We need this to be set equal to 0, so y squared plus 6y. I'm going to move that 7, which means take the opposite, because you can't just up and move it across equal marks. And same thing with our x squared minus 28 equals 0, because it's minus again, because that's crossing those equal marks and coming over, and you can't just up and pick things up and move them in math. So we're shooting for a factored form. So if you're thinking ACB chart, that means I have a negative 7 and 6. So it's 1 and 7, which are the only factors of 7. We have a y and a y. That negative 7, I have a 7 and a 1, and I have to decide which one is positive and which is negative. I have a positive b value, so the big number is always positive. These are the factors, so we're not done. We need to set them both equal to 0 and solve, which will give us negative 7 and positive 1. Now, we have to make sure that that negative 7 works, because some of these can go away as we've been running into. There's extraneous solutions or numbers that don't make the statement true, though algebraically it works. It doesn't apply to the concept. So distance formula would be one of those things to think about, because distance can't be negative. So negative 7, and we're solving for y. So negative 7 squared plus 6 times a negative 7 has to give me 7. So it's 49 plus a negative 42, which does give me 7. So that one's a good one. Then I need to check it with a 1. So positive 1 squared. I'm just trying to save space. Don't be lazy. 1 squared plus 6 times 1 equals 7. I was reading ahead. Times 1 equals 7. 1 squared is 1 plus 6 equals 7. So right now, both of those are good. So both of these are good answers for y. So y is could be both negative 7 or positive 1, because this is a quadratic. All right, so now it's on to x over here. So I need to know my ACB chart. So I need my factors of 28. And I'm going to get rid of some of this, because I feel like there's a lot right here right now. Y equals negative 7 and 1. And you don't want to put it in parentheses, because that'll make it look like a coordinate. Or you can put y equals negative 7 and y equals positive 1. So I need the factors of 28, so multiples of 28, that will add or subtract to give me a negative 3. So 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 3, 4, and 7. I believe that's it. Yep. So 1 and 28 will not give me 3. 2 and 14 will never give me 3. 4 and 7 could possibly. So we're going to focus on this one. So I have x, and I have a 7 and a 4. Now, this is negative and this is negative. So for our last one to be negative, that means that one of these has to be positive and one has to be negative. B is negative, our middle term. So the big guy can be negative and the little guy positive. Then we're going to, again, these are our factors. So we have to set them equal to 0 and then solve. So x minus 7 equals 0. And when I move that, that's going to be x is a positive 7. Move that 4 and x is going to be a negative 4. We want to check those. Again, I'm going to try to make some more space. Rid of some of this work over here. So x is 7, so 7 squared minus 3 times 7 should give us 28. So minus 21, so 49 minus 21 does indeed give us 28. And then check our negative 4. So negative 4 squared minus 3 times a negative 4 should give me 28. So 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 3 times negative 4 is a positive 12, which does indeed give us 28. So both of these are great answers as well. So y is negative 7 and 1, and x is positive 7 and negative 4. All right, great jobs for those of you who hung in and didn't quit on me. Have a great day, guys.